The recent escalation between India and Pakistan in May 2025 stems from a series of retaliatory military strikes. On May 7, India launched Operation Sindoor, targeting alleged terrorist infrastructure in Pakistan-administered Kashmir. Pakistan responded with Operation Bunyan Marsoos, striking Indian military installations. Both nations have engaged in artillery exchanges, drone activities, and air engagements, leading to significant casualties and widespread civilian disruption. May 7, India's Operation Sindoor involved 14 missile strikes on 9 locations in Pakistan-administered Kashmir and Punjab. The Indian government described the strikes as focused, measured, and non-escalatory, targeting camps of Jaish-e-Mohammed and Lashkar-e-Taiba. May 8, Pakistan launched Operation Bunyan Marsoos, targeting Indian missile storage sites and airfields in Bias, Udhampur, and Pathankot. Pakistan claimed to have downed 25 Indian drones during the escalation. May 9. Intense artillery fire exchanged across the line of control, LOC, resulted in civilian casualties on both sides. At least 18 civilians were killed in Indian-controlled Kashmir and 17 in Pakistan-administered Kashmir. May 10, both nations reported downing enemy aircraft. India claimed to have shot down a Pakistani drone, while Pakistan reported downing an Indian Rafale jet. The conflict has led to significant civilian disruption. Evacuations: thousands of residents near the LOC have been evacuated due to ongoing shelling. Flight disruptions: airports in northern and western India, including Srinagar, have been closed. Pakistan also closed its airspace for 48 hours. Educational interruptions: schools and universities in affected regions have suspended classes. Media censorship: both governments have imposed media restrictions. India reportedly blocked over 8,000 social media accounts to curb misinformation. International response: global leaders have expressed concern over the escalating tensions. United Nations: the UN Secretary-General called for immediate de-escalation and urged both nations to return to dialogue. United States: the U.S. Vice President emphasized the need for restraint but refrained from direct involvement. China has reiterated its support for Pakistan, emphasizing regional stability. Both India and Pakistan possess significant military capabilities. India's military is among the largest in the world, with over 5 million personnel. It operates advanced aircraft, including Rafale jets and Su-30 MKIs, and has a substantial missile arsenal. Pakistan maintains a robust military force of approximately 1.7 million personnel. It has developed indigenous missile systems and has strengthened military ties with China. The May 2025 conflict between India and Pakistan represents a significant escalation in their long-standing rivalry. The use of advanced military technology, including drones and precision-guided munitions, has intensified the confrontation. The humanitarian impact is profound, with civilian casualties and widespread displacement. The international community's call for de-escalation underscores the global concern over the potential for further escalation in this volatile region. It seems like the latest available information on the India-Pakistan conflict in May 2025 highlights significant escalations, but no further details have emerged on the conflict beyond the summaries already provided. However, I can provide you with a detailed analysis based on the ongoing geopolitical context and historical patterns of such conflicts. Given the rapid escalation of hostilities, we can anticipate several developments that could unfold. The situation between India and Pakistan in May 2025 is expected to further escalate if diplomatic efforts do not succeed in quelling the tension. As is often the case with prolonged conflicts, the use of airstrikes and missile exchanges may become more frequent, with each side trying to demonstrate military strength and resolve. However, the growing role of international diplomacy could prevent a full-scale war from breaking out, as global powers will likely intensify their calls for de-escalation, as evidenced by the United Nations' appeal for peace and restraint. In previous crises, such as the Kargil conflict in 1999 and the attacks in Mumbai in 2008, international organizations like the UN and powers such as the US and China have played crucial roles in preventing the conflict from escalating to nuclear war. The situation in May 2025, given the rise of modern technology in warfare, such as drone attacks, cyber warfare, and precision-guided missiles, could see a stronger diplomatic push from the global community to mediate and bring both countries to the negotiating table. Pakistan's reliance on China for military and diplomatic support will likely continue, as the country seeks to position itself as a counterbalance to India's growing defense capabilities. This alliance could affect the way the conflict evolves, especially if it leads to increased Chinese influence in South Asia. However, Pakistan's internal political landscape may also affect its military actions, with various factions within the country pushing for different stances on India. India, with its growing defense budget and increasing regional influence, has been positioning itself as a rising power in the Indo-Pacific. With the presence of advanced fighter jets like the Rafale and a large contingent of naval assets, India may intensify its military operations, particularly along the line of control, LOC. The recent use of drones in the conflict shows that both sides have advanced their military capabilities in unconventional ways, which could lead to an increasing reliance on non-traditional warfare tactics. As the conflict progresses, there will likely be significant humanitarian consequences. Civilian casualties, displacement, and infrastructure destruction will impact the people of both India and Pakistan, particularly those living near the LOC. Humanitarian organizations may face difficulties in providing aid to civilians caught in the crossfire, and the strain on local populations could fuel greater anger and frustration toward the conflict. The growing role of cyber attacks and information warfare may intensify in the coming days. Both India and Pakistan are increasingly focusing on cyber capabilities to disrupt enemy communications, disable critical infrastructure, and influence public opinion. The rise of misinformation and media manipulation could also be a major factor in this conflict, with both sides likely using the media to influence perceptions globally and domestically. One of the most alarming aspects of the India-Pakistan rivalry is the nuclear dimension. Both countries have nuclear weapons and delivery systems that could strike targets across each other's territory. While nuclear weapons are widely seen as a deterrent, the proximity of their armed forces, the dense population, and the history of conflicts between the two make the risk of miscalculation or accidental escalation higher. Global leaders will likely focus on preventing any escalation that could bring nuclear weapons into the conflict. In summary, while the May 2025 conflict between India and Pakistan appears to be taking a more kinetic form, particularly with airstrikes, missile exchanges, and the potential for increased drone warfare, diplomatic efforts will be crucial in preventing further escalation. The international community will likely increase its involvement to avert a full-scale war, with an emphasis on humanitarian aid and pressure to return to negotiations. Given the evolving nature of warfare, this conflict is also likely to be shaped by cyber attacks, misinformation, and the influence of global powers, particularly China and the United States. The people living in the regions most affected will bear the brunt of the suffering, and without a resolution, the cycle of escalation, retaliation, and fear will continue to persist. Please note that this analysis is speculative and based on the most recent developments in May 2025.